until February 12, 1998. 1 year, 10 months, and 3 days. Why did he stop using him? Because the Supreme Court said it was unconstitutional. Not by the Confederate Constitution, but according to the United States Constitution. You say, what does that matter? Well, guys, look, what are they doing? Senate passes the bill, the House verifies that. They send it to the President, he says, I don't like it, he vetoes it. So then they got to go back and start the whole process over again. If you had line item veto, they would have to stay up there on the same topic all the time. You see? How about Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2? The executive power shall be vested in the President of the Confederate States of America. He and the Vice President shall hold their offices for the term of 6 years. But the President shall not be re-eligible. The President and Vice President shall be elected as follows. And if you're interested in that, you can read the Confederate States Constitution. What does that mean? That means
term limits. We
would have only a one-term president. I mean, back in 2012, we would not have had to listen to all these advertisements and all these re-election campaign commercials going on. In my opinion, that's about all you need up there, anyhow. It's 6 years, not 8. Because if you think about it, what are they doing? They got to make all these little connections and conspiracies and all this other stuff and get people to vote for them and all these different things. Then they get into power and then they pat everybody on the back and give out, their different awards and things that they want people to do, bring all these people to help them and award them. Well, then they start their agenda, and then, you get about 2 years done, and then it's time for re-election. Otherwise, you're going to be out to the cow pasture for retirement. So now they got to kick up the gears for a re-election. And that's more time wasted. Just give them there in 6 years, let them get in, get it done, and go home. That's what the Confederates said. They said, let's just give him 6 years. Once he's done it, just send him home and let him go enjoy the fruits of his labor. Now, let me touch just a little bit on slavery, since everybody says that's what the Confederate Constitution is all about. Okay, the United States protected slavery in the Constitution. They didn't call slaves slaves. What did they use? You remember the clause we read earlier? Persons. They used the word persons. Now, all the Confederates did was they just called what it was. They called it slavery. They called it slave. Now, what they did say was, in Article 1, Section 9, Clause 1, the importation of Negroes of the African race from any foreign country other than the slaveholding states or territories of the United States of America is hereby forbidden, and Congress is required to pass such laws as shall effectually prevent the same. Now, if you look at what the United States Constitution said, what did they say? No laws about the importation of a certain person shall be authorized or considered until the year 1808, right? So the United States Constitution had an opportunity to ban the slave trade in 1789, but they didn't ban the slave trade. In 1861, our Confederate forefathers banned the international slave trade. Nobody told you that. They did state in the Confederate Constitution, Article 4, Section 3, Clause 3, that no law could be passed by the Confederate government outlawing the institution of slavery in the territories of the state. But that does not mean, like all these often historians say, well, if you lived in the free and independent Southland in the year of our Lord 2000, we still have slaves. What it means is the government couldn't get involved in a local state issue. If a state, say South Carolina, wanted to abolish slavery, South Carolina could. And if all the other states in the Confederacy wanted to keep having it, then they could. But the government couldn't come down and say, it's over. And in my thinking, that's exactly the way things should be. Because a politician up in Washington don't know anything about how your life and mine is going unless they come down here and talk to him. Maybe the governor might be a little bit more understanding of what's going on. Not everyone would. But see, that's what the Confederates said. They said all politics is local. They said if you want to do something about something, do it on the local level. Keep the fat cats in power out of it. But the point is, both constitutions preserved and protected slavery. The tyrant Abraham Lincoln stated in his 1861 inaugural address that slavery was not the issue at the moment. He said, apprehension seemed to exist among the people of the southern states, but that by the accession of a Republican administration, their property and their peace and personal security are to be endangered. Yeah, buddy. I have no purpose, directly or indirectly, to interfere with the institution of slavery in the states where it exists. That's everywhere, Abe. I believe I have no lawful right to do so, and I have no inclination to do so. Absolutely right. He had no right to bother anything about anything, because it was constitutional. And everybody says the Emancipation Proclamation shows that Lincoln freed slaves. He didn't free a single slave. I'm sorry to burst your bubble of your Lincoln worship, but he didn't free a single slave. He was one of the most rabid anti-African people in this entire nation. You know what Uncle Abe, honest Abe, wanted to do with the freed slaves? He wanted to ship them all back to Africa. Oh, and where's the humanitarianism in that? There ain't none. There's another quote he said that I'm not going to belabor your time, make you sick on your stomach, puke up your cookies about what the tyrant said. Anyway, slavery ended in America and the United States on December 18, 1865, when the 13th Amendment was ratified. The Confederate government offered freedom to the slaves if they would come and fight for us in the waning months of the war. So we actually offered emancipation before the United States Constitution abolished slavery. Conclusion. Now don't start singing the Hallelujah chorus, guys. When Lee surrendered, his wife Mary Custis, when she was told, she said, "I pray people will remember that General Lee is not the Confederacy." But today we've all been brainwashed into believing. We've all been told our whole lives, taught in a little schoolhouse, that Abraham Lincoln saved the Union. Just a few months ago, the little pennies came out. Had the Union shield. Makes me sick every time I see one. Let me tell you how Lincoln saved the Union. Well, Billy Bob goes down to the bar. Gets his britches. "Well, boys, I reckon I saved my marriage." "Well, did you do that, Billy Bob?" "Well, my wife was going to run off on me. She said she found her another man. She's going to leave me for that man over yonder." "Well, what'd you do about it?" "Well, I went in and I punched her in the nose and pulled her by the scruff of the neck and threw her in the bedroom and locked the door. I saved my marriage." That ain't a man. That's a brute. I give him 5 good reasons why he ain't no man. Man doesn't hit a woman. Man's supposed to be a gentleman. That man didn't save his marriage. Now, I'm not trying to say I'm for divorce or anything, but this is what I am saying. Little old South said, "Oh, we've been assaulted for so long. It's time to end our union. I must go." And she left. She succeeded. She withdrew from that union, right? Well, big old Billy Bob Abe said, "You ain't leaving me, woman. Who's going to pay the bill?" Pow! Got her by the scruff of the neck and threw her back in the union, didn't it? So Abe saved the union. Yeah, right. If these interpretations that I've showed you some of tonight had been kept, I believe it would have been profound in keeping the government small and unobtrusive. The inclusions within the Confederate Constitution, I believe, demonstrated the wisdom of our American and Confederate founding fathers. Had we won the war to prevent Southern independence, we would not be $16 trillion and growing in debt, nor had to have the enduring legacy of any re-election campaign of any president. How many of you are familiar with a man by the name of Mark Levin? He currently has a book out right now called The Liberty Amendments. Now, Mr. Levin is saying the only way to save America is to possibly pass these 10 amendments. Now, that's a good idea, Mark, but I think we just need some good old-fashioned Confederate common sense and maybe push for maybe just a few of the Confederate amendments. Keep each bill at one pocket. Specify to the penny what you're going to spend. And when you spend it, don't ask for no more. Don't authorize for any more. And when you spend the money, put it at 2/3 majority. I think if we take a few of these things from the Confederate Constitution and put them in the United States Constitution, maybe America might could get back on her feet in 50 years. No, beloved, listen. When you look at this flag, don't think ours is the lost cause. I have the blood of my great-great-grandfather running in my veins and others. No, mine is not a lost cause. Mine is a living cause. For as long as I breathe, as long as I have a heartbeat, Commander, I will still continue to stand for and expound the truth not only of the Bible, but also of my Confederate heritage to anyone who will take the time to listen and have an open mind. So may God bless you, and may God bless Dixie and these United States of America. Folks, thank you for your patience. God bless you. Come on back out for this fine camp, Commander.
Well, I'd like to have something smart to say, but after all that, I think whatever I said, I'm ignorant. So, unbelievable. Yeah. Excellent job. Yeah. Excellent job. We appreciate you coming. I want everybody out here, if you're visiting or whatever, remember a couple of things. One, scscb.org. scscb.org. That's where you can get all the information you ever wanted about the South Carolina Division, Sons of Confederate Veterans. Remember, our meetings are open. We meet every third Thursday, 6 o'clock. Normally at Joe Crook's Pig Out Barbecue, corner of New Cut Road and John Dodd Road. We do eat barbecue.